Hey folks, I wanted to discuss containment a little bit more. Um, the idea of containment comes from the quote that I'm about to read. And it's really this idea that communism must be stopped from spreading past the borders of the USSR. So the US thinks that allowing communism to exist is okay. It might be too big of an effort to get rid of communism completely, but that it wants to try to stop other countries from adopting communism. Okay, and so we've already looked at this idea of containment a little. We understand that it means to keep something within itself, right? So to keep communism within the USSR. And we just looked today a little bit at how the US believes it should interact directly with Russia, right? And it's this idea that diplomacy, that trying to solve things by working together is not going to work. That's not what the US should do. That instead it should show that it's a military force, that it's strong, and that Russia should fear it. And the US thinks that Russia will follow this thinking, that it will understand this thinking, that it will respond well to this thinking, that it will say, okay, you guys have nuclear bombs, and we don't want you to bomb us, right? We don't want to be harmed. And so that's the thinking, the idea that we can keep communism within Russia, and that with this threat of military force, uh, we'll keep it from spreading beyond its borders. Okay. Now, that doesn't entirely work, obviously, um, but let's explore containment a little bit more. Okay, so I have a passage to read from you. It's from the same author as above. Okay, and let me read through it. It'll be in echo as well below this video, and you can work through it. And then there's a question, one question that I want you to respond to. Okay. So, in these circumstances, it is clear that the main element of any United States policy towards the Soviet Union must be that of long term, patient but firm, and vigilant containment of Russian expansive tendencies. Okay, so that's the idea that this is going to be a long war, right? But it's not going to be active. We're just going to contain communism, we're going to keep it from spreading. We know that the Cold War lasts until 1991, and this is the mid 40s when this idea comes about here. So this is a long-ranging idea. Okay, so the U.S. must continue to regard the Soviet Union as a rival, not a partner in the political arena. The possibilities for American policy are by no means limited to holding the line and hoping for the best. It is entirely possible for the United States to influence by its action the internal developments both within Russia and throughout the international communist movement, by which Russian policy is largely determined. Okay, so again, it's this idea that Russia is clearly not going to be a partner with us, right? We do not want to ally with Russia. As part of the Marshall Plan, we're not providing Russia with assistance, right? We saw that in the cartoon that we looked at in class the other day, that the Europeans had this, grass is greener kind of world, right? Where they had tractors and they had money. The Russians were kind of suffering as a result of it. Well, that's something that we want to continue. We want to make life difficult for Russians. Okay, and again, this idea that we do not want to ally with them. Okay, so it goes beyond that, though. This idea of containment isn't just holding them back, it's that we can, by putting economic pressure on them, right, influence their government from within. Okay, so if the people are unhappy with their living conditions, maybe they'll rise up against communism. And so, if they rise up against communism, maybe that'll make communism fall. And so that's where the idea of this Cold War really develops. It's that we need to show our force to stop the spread of communism, but from within Russia, what we want to be doing is kind of like sowing discord and discontent. Maybe you've seen a James Bond movie. That's kind of what that's all about. So let me continue with this passage. The U.S. believed that it had a moral responsibility to confront Soviet aggression. The U.S.'s entire security as a nation is dependent on their pulling themselves together and accepting the responsibilities of moral and political leadership that history plainly intended them to bear. Okay, so again, guys, this builds on this like almost this city upon a hill idea that we looked at earlier in the year, and we've kind of revisited a few times. It's that the U.S. is morally superior. There's something about it that makes it better than everyone else, right? And we want to show that off. Okay, so in this case, um, we want to fight our aggression, fight Soviet aggression by showing how good our country is, right? How morally superior we are, how much better capitalism and democracy are than communism. And so this is something that we kind of expand on greatly through the next 40 years or so, okay? Um, and so I have a question for you guys, and it's going to be posted below in this assignment. But what I want you to think about and answer is this. After the publication of what we just read and what I just discussed, a lot of diplomats criticized this policy. So people who were involved in American government and they worked directly overseas with Russia, they didn't like this. So they criticized this, okay, this policy, this new policy of containment. So what reasons do you think they might have to criticize containment? Why do you think that diplomats might not like that? Okay, so obviously you want to think about their diplomats, right? So maybe it can harm their job. But what else? What other reasons? Okay, so please respond. Thank you.